Teachers, what are some positive trends you have noticed in today's youth? I teach at a high school in Missouri, rural part of the state. You've probably seen it in a movie. Pickup trucks in the lot, FFA jackets in the hallways, everyone knowing everyone's business. We have about 600 students, which is considered a decent size for where we are. Most of the teachers grew up around here. Some even went to the same school before coming back to teach, that kind of place. Now, I've been teaching long enough to remember when some kids genuinely prided themselves on not trying, especially boys. You'd hear it in the hallway. I don't need school, I'm just gonna work on the farm. Or, school's for losers, I already got a job lined up. It was a badge of honor to be the class clown or to brag about failing algebra. Nobody wanted to be seen as a try-hard. That was the insult of choice. That's changed. I don't know exactly when it shifted, but I started noticing it about 5 years ago. Kids who used to roll their eyes at assignments now asked for extra credit. Football players started showing up for tutoring sessions. I had a senior, one of those quiet kids who usually only speaks when called on, come up to me after class to ask if I thought community college would be worth it if he planned to take over his dad's welding business. It's not that they all suddenly became straight A students. That's not what I'm saying. It's that the culture around effort shifted. Failing isn't cool anymore. Even the country boys who are fully committed to staying in town, working the land, raising their own kids in the same district, they want to pass. They care. I've heard kids say they don't want to disappoint their younger siblings. I've heard, I just don't want to look stupid, from kids I never thought paid attention to anything. The burnout kids, ones who barely show up and live in the principal's office, used to have a whole little ecosystem of apathy. They'd bond over how little they cared. But now, even they seem tired of the bit. I had one of them tell me flat out, man, it's too stressful to be failing all the time. Like the weight of not trying was catching up. It's not just academics either. They're more aware of mental health. They actually use their counselor. Back when I started, the only time a kid saw a counselor was if they were in trouble or planning college. Now I have students who will say, I need to talk to someone, and head to the office on their own. They know when they're overwhelmed, and they're not embarrassed by it. We had a boy this past semester, sophomore, real quiet, but polite. Wore camo almost every day, always smelled faintly like motor oil. One day he stays after class and asks if he can redo an essay. Says he knows it wasn't his best work. I ask him why, and he shrugs and says, I don't want to be the guy who doesn't graduate. I looked up his grades after he left. Kid had a B+. And it's not just the high achievers either. I've had special ed students ask for tutoring. Kids who know they struggle, but still want to show up and try. That kind of effort used to be something teachers had to drag out of students. Now it's voluntary. I don't think it's because school got easier. If anything, with all the standardized testing and admin policies, it's gotten more complicated. I think part of it is that failure has lost its novelty. Being the slacker isn't special anymore. There's no glory in bragging that you flunked English. The class clown doesn't get the same laughs. Somewhere along the line, trying became more respectable than pretending not to care. That's not to say everything's perfect. We still have fights, still have vaping in the bathroom, cheating on homework, kids who ghost class for weeks. But underneath all that, there's this slow, stubborn shift toward taking things seriously. It's quiet. You might miss it if you're not looking, but it's there. I used to think I was going to leave teaching early, burn out, cash in my retirement, and go work at a hardware store or something. But seeing these kids work harder than they used to, watching them shift from passive to engaged, even in small ways, it makes it a little easier to get up in the morning. Maybe it's just a phase, or maybe it sticks. Either way, it's one of the more hopeful things I've seen in this job.